order on Friday, November 17th at 1 p.m. Emily, would you please call roll?
Sure. Christine Barr. Here. Dave Barry.
Here.
Sue Busenbark. Here. Judy Crocker.
Here.
Gwen Gregory. Kate Hall.
Here.
Laura Keys.
Here.
Paul Mills.
Here.
Scott Poynton.
Here.
Dee Runnels.
Here.
Nadia Shake. Michelle Simmons.
Here.
Joe Skibinski. Laura Turner. Lori Wilcox.
All right. Thank you. And I wanted to just take a moment to welcome our newest board member. I'm drawing it out, Laura, so you can get some water. So,
Thank you. I apologize.
No, that's okay. So Laura Keys is joining us from the Freeport Public Library. We're very excited to have her here with us and that she made the trek to come and join us in person in Burridge today. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you very much.
So now let's do guests and announcements, and we can start here in Burridge. I believe we may have some quote-unquote guests. Would we like to start with the people sitting in the chairs in the audience?
Jim Krieger, Rails.
Dawn Busby, One Island Public Library.
Mary Witt Rails.
Wesley Smith, Rails.
Joe Philippek, Rails.
Louise Savela, Rails.
Dee Brennan, Rails.
Jay Plass Rails. Emily Feister Rails.
All right, and do we have any guests in Bolingbrook? It does not
Nope.
look like it because it's dark. Any guests in Coal Valley? I think so, but
Nope.
okay. East Peoria.
Hello, Kendall Larson from Rails.
Hey, Kendall. And since Rockford is pitch black as well, I'm going to assume that there is no one there. And the Illinois State Library.
Hi, this is Karen Egan from the State Library. I'm here by myself today.
Oh, we're happy to have you, Karen.
Thank you.
And it doesn't look like there's anyone in Galesburg, but if someone's hiding in the corner. And Judy, do you have anyone with you in Quincy?
No.
Okay. And Vernon is not up. So, and Freeport.
Freeport's machine is broken.
Okay, so no.
It's here.
Okay, well then they're definitely not there.
That's what.
Do we have any public comments here in Burridge? Okay. So then moving right along, may I have a motion and a second for the adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Thanks, Dave.
I will second.
Thanks, Laura. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the board minutes from our October 27th, 2016 regular meeting. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes of that meeting?
So moved.
Thanks, Sue. And a second?
Second.
Thanks, Scott. Any questions or comments on the minutes? All right. All those in favor then, please say aye.
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 Say it. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. We do have a second set of minutes with the Rails Executive Committee minutes of September 29th, 2017. May I have a motion for a member of the Executive Committee for the approval of the minutes of the 3-minute meetings?
So moved.
Thanks, Dave. And a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thanks, Sue. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So next, if I could invite Jim Krieger up here to present the Rails financial report.
The financial report is in your booklet for the month of October. Some of our highlights are we had cash of $12.3 million in the general fund, and that would finance a little bit over 13 months of operations. We did get receive some area and per capita grant money. It was our federal portion of our grant of $1,936,000. So that's reduced our revenues versus budget unfavorableness to where it's only $1.2 million below budget at this point. So we made some progress. The 3.9 million of area and per capita grant from last year that is outstanding is still outstanding, and hopefully we will receive it at some point. A few other minor things to note: our investment income is approximately double what our budget was. The interest rates increased substantially since when the budget was prepared, and if we can maintain our budget level, we should do about double the budget and have about $120,000 of income. So it's getting a little bit more significant than it was in the last couple of years. We also received an E-rate reimbursement of $6,465, which comes with considerable paperwork. You never know how that's going to go, so we don't budget that. But it's about half of what we think we will get this year. Our general fund expenditures were $385,820 below budget. Personnel expenditures were about half of this, about $187,000, and $112,000 of that were salary expenditures. Our percent favorableness to budget will decrease a bit in November as we implemented our retroactive salary increases retroactive to July 1st, but we'll still be 3 to 4% under budget at least due to not filling some positions and consolidating others. And so I noticed last month our health, dental, and life insurance expenditures should remain. They're $12,000 below budget through October, and for next year, the calendar year 2018, they will remain flat. The rates will remain flat. On another note, the LIRA, I attended the LIRA annual meeting. I believe it was last week, along with Paul, and all the members got their individual rates and billings for next year. Our liability and building and insurance will be decreasing about $5,500, 4.7%. Part of that is a lower funding to the loss fund, which has built up a surplus, so the thinking is not to fund it quite as high, only to return it 3 years later. The workman's comp was very good news. That will be going down the base billing. Now the final, what you pay is dependent on what your actual payroll is, but based on the projections that I gave them and the classifications, our workers' comp is going down $18,217, 15%. The most significant part of that is that our what's called an experience modification factor, which is an indication of your relative risk, and 1.0 is a average or a decent type risk. We were at 1.08 last year, and we have gone down to 1.0 for this year. So we had a good experience apparently in the last few years, and it's starting to be recognized in our billing. And so our deficit in the general fund so far is $504,620, which is quite a bit less than the $1.8 million last year because of the receipt of some area and per capita grant revenues.
And Jim, if I may also say, Rails also got a check from LIRA.
I did, and we deposited it. I brought it back here.
Good to know.
So it was something like $18,500 and change. And we are the largest member of LIRA, so we had made the largest contribution to the loss fund. So we had a very nice check that came back. First of many more to follow. Can I answer any questions?
Hearing no questions, may I have a motion for approval of the financial report for October 2017? All right, thanks, Chris. And a second?
Second.
All right, thanks, Paul. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And Jim knows the routine very well. We're going to
Yep.
hand it right back over to him.
Second item on the agenda is the approval of October expenditures. This is at the end of the listing is at the end of the financial report. The amount for October was $882,903.16. Is there any question on the detail?
I'll make a motion to approve the expenditures.
All right, thanks so much, Dave. May I have a second to approve the check voucher register for October 2017 in the amount of $882,903.16?
I will second it.
All right, thanks, Laura. Emily, will you please call roll?
Sure. Christine Barr. Yes. Dave Barry.
Yes.
Sue Busenbark.
Yes.
Judy Trucker.
Yes.
Kate Hall.
Yes.
Laura Keys.
Yes.
Paul Mills.
Yes.
Pat Poison.
Yes.
Dee Reynolds.
Yes.
Michelle Simmons.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim. Hello. Did we have somebody join us?
Yes, this is Lori Wilcox.
Oh, hi, Lori.
Hi, how are you, Kate?
Good. We are just getting into the reports.
Okay.
And so I don't really have much of a report. I'm sorry I was not able to be here for the tour last month. Hopefully everyone that came had a chance to see the beautiful new facility here in Burr Ridge and all the updates. My favorite part is the sinks and washroom. If you have not, I know that the wonderful Rails staff love taking people on tours, so you're always welcome to come, and if you would like, you can contact Dee for that. But I think it looks really beautiful, so nice work to Dee and all of the staff on the hard work on making a older building look fresh again. So next up, we have committee reports. Paul, do you have anything for the consortia committee?
The topics of interest will be covered later on the agenda with the committee charges, so nothing at this time, ma'am.
All right, sounds great. We did not have a delivery committee meeting, nor an executive committee meeting, and we also did not have a policy committee meeting, and Laura is also not present. So, look at how quickly that passed. Dee, would you like to share your report?
Sure, thank you. So, you have my report in the packet. I would add a couple of things. You are going to be hearing over the next while from Mary Witt, all of you board members, as we move to our next evaluation of Rails services operations. We're going to be looking at board orientation and ongoing engagement strategies. So she will be looking to talk with you about those topics. So I'm really glad we're doing this because it's something that is really important. I know to all of you and to me that you guys feel well informed, and we know we can do a better job, and so we're going to work on it. It's one thing. I also wanted to let you know that we are, Jane and I and the HR staff are going to sequester ourselves for a few hours over December and read the employee handbook and the policy manual, because we've been updating it piecemeal now for a number of years, and we need to take a whole fresh look at it and be sure that there's no contradictions, there's no old language, there's nothing missing, so that we'll be bringing you some point near the beginning of 2018 a refreshed policy manual, employee handbook. And I was out and about a lot this month, as you probably, I know, right? Definitely. As you probably noticed, I went to see Chris, among other trips. I went to Carol Stream and was really impressed by the library there, where Nadia is Steve. And Veranda is going to Geneva on Monday to meet with all of the school librarians, 9 librarians in 9 schools, which is so fantastic, and talk to them about biblioboards and how useful that could be for schools. So I'm happy to answer any questions from anyone.
Dee, could you remind us about the Warren County Public Library District proposal that you mentioned in your
Yes.
report?
So, and Michelle's on the phone too. So, if I had my trusty map here, no, I'm kidding. County is a county system. They have 3 buildings, and one of their buildings is located in the town of Alexis, which is on the northern edge of Warren County, and part of Alexis is in Mercer County.
Okay.
And is unserved. And so during the conversations that we've had at the state library about the unserved and ways of doing some, making some incremental progress, it came up that it would be great to do a pilot project, and so Warren County has talked with the library district, that the neighboring one that's next to the unserved portion of Alexis, and they have submitted a proposal to the state library to serve those unserved residents for a period of, I think, 5 years. I haven't heard back from the state library about this. I know they've been busy doing the budget and things like that. So that's, I didn't send it to the board because I was waiting until there was a little bit more, feedback about it. It would involve what I've called a moratorium on some of the non-resident rules, on library card rules, so that we could actually see how this would work. It seems like a perfect little microcosm of the whole issue, because you've got this town that is half served, and and you've got willing participants. Willing participants. So, do you want to say anything else, Michelle, about it?
You really did a good job encapsulating the situation. Larissa Good is our director at the Warren County Public Library, and she is very, open to serving this group that is just north of our county. The board is very supportive of her initiative, and I think that this, just as you said, this is a great microcosm. It's a great situation because it's a small environment. It would not make a huge impact on our library, especially now that we're part of our RSA. We have access to so many more resources than we previously did, so we really don't think that it's going to have an impact on our users. And so we appreciate your support, Dee, and I think that it's a good initiative.
I appreciate your doing it. Do you have anything to say, Karen? Anything from the...
No, I think it's a very interesting proposal, and I know that Pat Bowes and Deb and Greg are working on comments to send back. So I know that is in the process, and I would expect that it's been crazy around here this week and next
I know.
But I would expect that within the next 2 weeks they should have something back to you.
All right, that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, and I was just going to say, and if not, I'm going to tell them that I told you that so that will commit them.
Okay. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Is that good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
I have a question about the update you mentioned with Mary with talking with us with board orientation and
Yep.
engagement. Are we going to be doing that in a group setting, or are we thinking more one-on-one interviews? Or is that still being in process?
Probably one-on-one interviews, maybe surveys sent via email, a couple of different types of information gathering mechanisms, but no, not as a group.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mary. Well, I look forward to talking with you.
I look forward to it also.
All right, do we have any other questions for Dee on her report, either here or at any of our other sites, including the phone? All right, then, Dee, would you like to give the service and operations report?
Yes, thank you. I would particularly here draw your attention to the attached report, which starts on page 1, but it's attached to the operations report. It's about the ILS generated delivery labels project summary. And this this is something, as I was saying to Jane, it should be so simple. It's so wonderful. It's just printing out a label, right? Except it's not. And this was a project that we started a long time ago in the years to try to get a Rails-wide application for computer generated delivery labels. When a book gets checked out or the label doesn't have to be written by a staff person. It just gets, as it is scanned, the label comes out and it gets slapped on the book or whatever it is. Well, lo and behold, it is not simple because of our complex resource sharing environment. So we have reluctantly called it a day on this project. We're happy to provide resources and information for individual LSAPs or libraries that want to work on this, but there's one sentence in here that I thought was really interesting. It was something about they couldn't get around or into the piece of software where lives the actual. Help me out here, Jane. There's some like locked down thing that we can't get past.
So Wes, can you help? I mean, you looked at it more closely.
Yeah, the main issue is that
Would you mind coming over here so everyone can hear? Sorry, just to make you see.
is that mostly with Cersei Dynix in particular.
And I'm going to just pause you as well. Do you mind just stating again who you are and
Sure.
where? Like, we know you're in Rails, but
Yeah.
since we have Laura with us and
Right.
there are other people out there, it's good to remind
Hundreds
everyone.
and thousands of them.
Hey, you never know who could be live streaming.
I'm Wesley Smith. I'm the IT manager for Rails. So we had a number of challenges with this. Getting access to the software, the Cersei Dynix software, because they're, a software vendor. They're not really going to give you access to their code. So we were, trying a number of methods of using printer drivers and that sort of thing to get around it. But then also the main issue is that this is a piece of custom software that would need to be developed and then maintained on 1,500, organizations' computers. We have 4 IT people in the organization. So it really wasn't feasible for us to do software development and support for all of these libraries with the staff that we had. And trying to outsource it to get another company was very difficult. There were very few people that wanted to develop such a niche little product because once they developed it, or they wanted to be able to sell it later. And we were very adamant that it had to be open source and free for everyone. So that's the crux of the situation that we ran into with the printing software now. Other consortium that aren't running on Cersei Dynamics software, like Polaris or Innovative Systems, they can do it natively, from what I understand. It's built into the software to be able to set up these print templates with whatever you want. So we kind of would like to push back on Cersei Dynamics to be like, hey, can you, reevaluate some of your printing and perhaps come up with something that mirrors your competition in that respect.
Right. So it's that working across the vendors and with multiple vendors. So we know that this exists for the SHARE consortium in Heartland, and that it is a beloved service. It does not exist for all libraries in Heartland, obviously, because not all libraries are members of SHARE. But it is certainly something that we would love to be able to do. But I do think it's a potential product that could be sold.
Yes.
And that's really not what we do.
Right.
So we wish that somebody would develop it, but it's not going to be us. Right. So, thank you, Wes.
You're welcome.
So,
Any other questions?
Any other questions for the reports?
The under human resources, there's a description of a job description for the technology special projects coordinator, and it says the description's been finalized. Has the job been posted, or is there?
No.
Not yet.
I think we're getting close, though.
Close.
And I would just like to say, with the delivery label project summary, I really appreciated how it was all laid out. This is something that I was on the social committee when this was first being talked about, and it did seem so simple at the time. But I also think that this is a really good exercise in showing how we need to try new things, but that there comes a time when we also have to recognize when it's appropriate to stop, and that failure is not only acceptable but encouraged. That doesn't mean we're not trying new things, but that we also have a very clear timeline and background on what exactly happened and how it went down, so that 3 years from now when someone says, well, we really should look at talking to Cersei about this,
right,
is there. And it's easy to refresh your memory on all of the minute details that happened, and to share this with others.
Like this.
Yeah, well, because it's you forget all the things, or at least I do, and so
Right.
I really like this, and I think it's important to also not just let things that we're not doing just slide away, but to be very deliberate in saying, we are not pursuing this further, and here is why. And that is, it is not only okay, but that it is a really good idea to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for the in-depth report, whoever.
That's
Thank
due
you,
to
Judy.
Ann Slaughter.
Oh, Anne. Thank you, Anne, wherever you may be.
Wherever she is. Yeah, and there was a time when we thought we almost had it.
Yeah.
And then,
so
I remember
close.
that vividly. But anyway, so
Only in horseshoes.
right.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions for Dee on the service and operations report, either here in Burr Ridge or any of the other sites, including the phone? All right. Well, thank you so much, Dee. And Karen, because you are all alone, I am presuming that we get the pleasure of the report today from you.
You are so right, Kate. Thank you. And for those of you that, Kate, you did a really good job with Wes. So I'm Karen Egan, and I work in the Library Development Group at the Illinois State Library. I primarily work with grants and programs. So I bring you greetings from the State Library. Greg today is in Champaign at the Carly annual meeting, and Deb Eggert is doing literacy site visits today. And so we've got a skeleton crew in the building today going on. But a couple of things going on that you might find interesting. Currently, the State Library is accepting applications under 2 grant programs, which is very exciting to announce. You've seen them before, I'm sure, in e-news. But the Public library per capita grant and equalization aid grants are due January 15th. And if you're not a public library, these grants are only for public libraries, and they assist them in improving and increasing library services within their service area. A lot of uses for the public library per capita and equalization aid grants. In addition, the Live and Learn construction grant applications are being accepted. Their deadline is due January 12th. Now this one also is only open to public libraries, and they can be used for remodeling. There are many grants that if you just need parking lots done, there's new construction, remodeling. There are 3 different categories that you can apply within with different ranges within each. So again, those applications are due January 12th. One of the things that's in the work that's coming up, December 1st, our literacy staff are going to be doing literacy grant information sessions in anticipation of the FY19 grant applications being available soon after the new year. Now, we don't have a due date yet for applications. They're not up there yet, but we are really encouraging libraries to apply for literacy grants. Literacy grants impact adults. Now think about this, adults who read at or below the 5th grade level. There are adult volunteer literacy grants where the emphasis is on one-on-one tutoring, usually at the library in a little meeting room or conference room. There are also family literacy grants that will be available where the library works in conjunction with a child educator and adult educator to look at the family holistically and make a difference in the literacy efforts of the adults, because when the adults can read, it really makes a difference for the children as well. So that informational webinar will be December 1st with applications for literacy grants sometime after the new year. Another thing coming up, Pat Bowes works hand in hand with the folks at Rails for the annual certification, and that's going to be coming up soon too. But on December 4th, Pat is going to present a certification webinar to walk, for example, new directors through the process, or anyone who would like to go through a reminder of what you need to do for the certification process, with everything from tips on how to log in to filling out the online form. And that webinar will be archived for anyone to access at a later date as well. But that will be a very basic how-to. Another fun thing, if you haven't had a chance to use it yet, try it. Try It Illinois, which is a sampling of a wide variety of electronic databases, will be up until November 30th. And there's an eclectic list of databases that you can get into and play with for free, from Automate to the Vogue Archive. So there are a lot of different things just to go in there and try it and see what's in there. Personnel-wise, I'm sure you have probably heard Vandella Brown, who is our diversity program manager, is retiring at the end of the month. And her last day is actually November 30th. So she's actually moving to Olive Branch, Mississippi, where her family is all in that area. And other than that, I just bring you all wishes for a happy Thanksgiving and hope that your Thanksgiving holiday is wonderful. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Karen, I do have a question actually about the per capita grant.
Yes.
I'd sent an inquiry to Jean earlier on the per capita grant. It asked if board members have filled out a conflict of interest statement as well as.
Great question. That is a great question. That is required in some counties, but not required in others. Okay. If it's not something you require, your county requires, just put, and I can't remember what it actually is, but it's like working on it or not yet or whatever that is.
It's not yet. Okay.
Yes, Yeah, check the other answer, and that's perfectly acceptable. Good
You
question.
guys don't have to do one?
Will County does not require that.
Yeah, if you don't have to do one, just put
Yeah.
select
Okay,
the
thank
other
you.
answer. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Paul, how can a public library discover if their county requires that?
I would contact the county clerk.
The county clerk would
Yeah.
know that? Okay.
Good question.
This is not the statement of economic interest.
Not this, no,
It's a
something different. Yeah.
It's not the yellow sheet.
Not the yellow sheet. No, this is something different. Which
Right,
will-
affectionately known as.
Yes.
Yeah, they,
Yeah.
yeah. All right,
Thank-
does anyone have?
Thank you.
That was very
Thanks,
useful.
Karen. Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was good. Does anyone have any questions for Karen? Questions? All right, Karen, thank you so much for the great report, and we hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You too. And call anytime you guys have questions or need anything.
We will.
We will and we do.
Yes, we will. All right, so moving on to new business, we're going to talk about the strategic plan.
Yes.
Or the process.
Yes, thank you. So there is a memo in your packet, attached to which is our current strategic plan for your information. So as I say in the memo, we developed this in 2013, the first year I was here, and about maybe the second full year of Rails existence, I think. Is that right, Jane? Something like that. And we did a lot of information gathering. I'm sure some of you remember this, being part of the information gathering. And we have used that plan. It is not dusty. We report on it to you regularly on progress. We use it to plan our annual action plan and our budget, etc. But, you know, it's been 4 years, and it's time to dust it off, so to speak, and see what needs to be updated. So there is a possible process that's outlined in this memo. I give you a few, very general bullet points on what, they're not bulleted, but an aspirational plan, that the process is transparent, and that there's a lot of member participation. So I bring this to you for discussion. I'm interested in how you all want to participate this time. I don't think we need to do the same kind of process as last year. We're in a very different place than we were then. I think we need to do, partly checking in on how we've done so far, and if we need to, and making sure we're on track, but also, planning for the future as well. So it's really open for discussion.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the human-centered design thinking classes and workshops you guys have been doing here at Rails, and how you see that, how you think that might fit into this process?
Sure.
I might not have used the right term.
No,
but
design thinking.
Yes.
I hadn't thought specifically of using design thinking in this process so much.
Okay.
Specifically, design thinking, I think, I don't know, Joe, whoever, is more, I think it's more practical in terms of how once you know what you think you might need to do, I think the application is how might we best blah, blah,
Accomplish
blah.
that, yes.
As
Using
opposed to,
a different
and if,
process.
I was thinking using more of the, I was thinking of using the Center for the Future of Libraries Trends Library to check in on that kind of thing. I'm not saying we can't use it.
Oh, no,
But, what do you, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Joe,
And if you're
Jane?
going to speak, would you mind coming up to the table?
Maybe it'd be easier if I didn't.
No, we want to hear from you, Joe.
It's a very
And if
good
you could
question.
share who
Yes,
you
Joe
are.
Philippek, Director, Continuing Education Consulting. I would just say, one of the kind of foundations of design thinking is kind of removing any assumptions that you have about, so in the context of a library, what the library, not viewing it through what library traditionally does, but stepping back and, okay, what does our community need, and we tailor our resources and services to that. I think Rails would do the same thing and not making assumptions or thinking about what a system traditionally does, but trying to be responsive to what libraries need now and in the future by looking at those things, like I said, future of libraries and so forth.
That was very well said. No, it was. That
Thank
was
you.
great. Because I know you guys have been doing more
Yeah.
with design thinking, and it's something that we've been talking a lot about at my library and about ways to apply it. Because it's really, my understanding is flawed. I'm trying to learn more. But that it's an umbrella under which there are many different applications, one of them being like the user experience, and how can you use that to facilitate communication and gathering feedback, and we've been trying to look at that and are hoping to do more of that in the coming year. And how can we perhaps use some of those things, either developing more skills in those areas so that we can use them so that we can gather feedback, and I think, as Joe said, to strip away the assumptions that we all have that we don't even realize we have. I think with a strategic plan that is really important. I don't know exactly how or what that would look like. Maybe it's simply that one of the key elements is to try to challenge assumptions and make sure that we're keeping those assumptions in our head, like, oh, if you're a library that only has 2,000 people, then you must be like this. And if you're a library that has a budget of $2 million, then you must be like this. And to maybe, I don't really know.
No, I agree with you about the challenging assumptions. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of, it's all, of course, it's all related, but it's also related to the evaluation of work that we do too. And that's something that, because that also is predicated on you, looking at it from the user's point of view and challenging your assumptions. And on that note, that Mary, as our resident expert on evaluation, has made the point that we need to be sure that we include in everything we do, and obviously in the planning, evaluation of impact of what we're doing.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Dee.
Yeah.
On one of your goals listed that you have a goal of doing a listening tour and talking with other libraries, and I was just curious, on those tours, do you envision yourself talking to all levels of library staff, just the management team? Do you envision bringing citizens, bringing patrons into this discussion? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't envision bringing patrons into it.
Okay.
I could, but I sort of traditionally, well, not traditionally, it's not tradition, it's just a fact. We serve libraries, and
Sure.
I think it's important for us to keep our focus on that.
Okay, good point.
But obviously the ultimate beneficiary is the patron, but I just think you can't do everything for everyone at the same time, so I think
Sure.
that, keeping that focus on the library. And other than that, I don't know. I mean, this is open for discussion. I have been practicing a little bit with some of my trips, and I talked with Christine about issues. What are the issues in Chris's mind? I talked with Brian Shepard and with Megan, and the question I asked both of them, I don't know if I phrased it this way for you, was what keeps you up at night professionally? And it was interesting what I got from that, because I got really, really good feedback just from those three people. Megan Millen, who's in Joliet now and used to be in Flossmoor. The unserved is a big issue for her now. It wasn't so much in Flossmoor. Brian talked about all the social issues that are happening in libraries. The so-called homeless issue, you know, all the that stuff that we never used to have to deal with. And you know, some libraries have hired social workers, and the Oak Park Public Library, notably. I don't know if others have.
Yes, there have been a few postings. I can't remember who else. At the moment.
So but I don't know. I mean, when, you know, typically the visits have varied depending on, over the years, our visits have varied depending on the wishes of the library, just in terms of who we interact with. But I think we'll probably try to do a variety of things.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
And just for Rails, goal is to visit at least 20% of the membership every year. We usually do about 27%. So I would like to offer as an opportunity for board members, because I know scheduling, I know how much Emily loves trying to schedule meetings with all of us, but perhaps because I think a listening tour is great, and perhaps when those dates are in, to offer that to the board so that if we would like to accompany, to also hear it. You know, I've worked in a handful of libraries, but I'm always amazed at how much I learn when I talk to others, and I would love to, you know, if time permitting, I would love to attend some of these. And I think if we also have other board members, it also lends greater gravity to what we're doing. Not that D is not sufficiently.
No, it absolutely does. Yeah.
So.
Kate, just to clarify, are you saying that D comes to board members' libraries, or board members go with D to whatever library she may be going to?
Maybe some of our libraries. D has been visiting a lot of them, but that once the schedule was ready, that if board members wanted to join D on visits to other libraries. And I would like to visit more non-public libraries, because I deal with public libraries every day, and I love public libraries, but I haven't spent a ton of time in school libraries or special or academic. Academic ones, but I think that would be really interesting to get their perspective, and that is something that I think would be really helpful in the design of this. When you said member participation, that's critical, but I also think that we need to make sure that we have a really diverse member participation and be very deliberative in that approach, because I think that, I know we've gotten feedback before that people feel like there's not as much of a focus maybe on the non-publics. And so I think having that be a focus on making sure we have representation, like the fact that there are, you know, the largest percentage of libraries in Rails is schools. And, you know, they do a ton of stuff. And so maybe looking at that in a little more granular fashion, so that we can make sure that we're hitting those, and really digging into that, so we can find out what they need from Rails.
And in fact, to that, in search of that, in pursuit of that, Veranda is at the Carly annual meeting today.
Great.
And they are working on their strategic plan.
Excellent.
So the timing is great on that, because she's hearing what they want from their organization. And obviously working with those partners, is, you know, the IO, the School Library Media, Carly, Libris, all these groups. It's a way of getting at more members easily.
So we haven't heard from our off-campus sites. That's not the right term, but Dee or Michelle, do you have any comments on the process or any suggestions or questions?
No, I guess I don't. This is Michelle. But I think that it would be great to visit libraries along with Dee.
All right, and Lori, I'm sorry, you as well.
I'm here. That is a good idea to visit libraries along with Dee.
All right, and Judy, do you have anything, any questions or
No, nothing to add.
suggestions? All right, so how about here in Burridge? I just want to make sure I sometimes will just keep talking. I don't want to forget about the opposite ones. Oh yeah, Dee, do you have anything? Dee, are you there? Dee Reynolds, as opposed to Dee Brennan, who's sitting next to me, and I can see she's here.
No, I don't. I don't have anything.
Okay. Any other suggestions here or ideas? How do we feel about?
It's pretty amorphous at this point, but
Yeah.
I guess you don't want to have a committee and meet and talk about it, I guess is what I'm hearing.
Would that be?
Okay.
No one is jumping up and
Yeah,
screaming
okay.
for that. So,
I know, that's fine, and that's, yeah. Okay.
I'm sure
Well,
Dee will.
if you change your minds, we can always, yes. Okay. Well, we'll have a more definitive concept in January. We just wanted to, talk generally first.
That sounds great.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this. This will be fun. Because I'll get to just sit here and you guys are doing all of the work. But
ideas.
I look
Crazy
forward
ideas
to the
of fun.
finished result.
Right, yeah.
All right, so moving along, we do have some draft committee charges that were presented. I know Dee talked to you a little bit about this last month, so I will let her go over what was in the packet.
Well, the board did have a conversation about committee charges last month, and hopefully we were able to include your thoughts. Really these changes, they don't apply to the sort of board internally focused committees, the executive committee, the policy committee, the nominating committee. These changes are about the committees that work on, issues of, related to service to members, which obviously, just like the strategic plan needs to be updated, the committees get updated too. So you have two drafts here, the consortia committee, which is an existing committee, of which Paul is the chair, the Rails resource sharing committee, which has no chair because the committee would be new. And we did, in conversation with Jane, we wanted to make one suggested change that traditionally the chairpersons of these kinds of committees have been board members, and we're suggesting that maybe that isn't a requirement. It would be fine, but sometimes there might be a better person, or it might just be really difficult for board members to be the chairs, and it just kind of gives us more options, I guess. So
and gives opportunities for others for professional growth and development as well.
Obviously there would still be board representation, just not required that the chair be a board member. So I open this up for discussion as well.
I will make a motion to adopt revisions to the Rails Consortium Committee, and I'll also make, and to do the same for the Rails Resource Sharing Committee.
Do we have to do those separately because one is a change and one is a new?
Sure. It's clean.
Okay.
It's clean to do it that way.
Yeah, so why don't we start with consortia?
Okay.
Amended as
to the consortium.
The chair.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Do I have a second?
I would second that.
All right. Thanks so much, Paul. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I just say, as chair of the committee, I think this is a really good change to differentiate the needs of serving our consortium members versus the broader resource sharing needs of the entire membership of Rails. And I think this differentiation will help us serve all constituencies better.
I agree.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well said. Right, hearing no other discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the new Rails Resource Sharing Committee charge?
So moved.
Thanks, Dave.
I would second that.
Thanks, Paul. Do I have any discussion on this committee?
A question not so much about this committee, but since we would see the intent of this committee is to, among other things, replace the delivery committee. Do we have to officially dissolve the delivery committee, or do we declare it?
We do not. So we had not appointed anyone to the delivery committee to chair it this year, and so it will just stop. I had actually asked Dee about that.
Ask me the same question.
And
I think we'll let the members.
Yes, we'll of course tell the members.
Them. Yeah.
This is not to say that the work on delivery is not important or isn't going to continue. I know you talked about this some last month.
Right.
The intent is that the delivery committee was really serving as more of a kind of boots on the ground working group because of the projects that were happening. And so, at least in my mind, and I think in Dee's as well, and conversations with her, that moving forward, having a working group that would do that when we have other projects that are coming up would be really great, but that we can still provide delivery reports within the resource sharing committee so that that information is still being shared to people, but that we don't have to have a separate meeting. So that wasn't what you asked, but I thought it would be helpful to share. So does anyone have any other discussion about the resource sharing committee? All right, then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I didn't hear that.
I heard D.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we will talk about next steps, and we'll be talking about forming this committee as well as who will chair it.
Yeah. Right.
Going forward.
Jane and I have some ideas.
So
some suggestions.
Excellent. So we are almost to the end, but before we can do that, we need to see if any board members have any news that they would like to share about their libraries. And so just for Laura's benefit, this is an opportunity for Rails board members to just share information of interest to the larger group and to anyone that is listening about what's going on in their libraries, things that are exciting. I mean, it doesn't have to be exciting. It usually is, though. So does anyone have any updates or news they'd like to share? I'm going to just mention then that we have December 16th, we are having a Star Wars Day at my library. So if you want to come and visit us at Northbrook, we'll be showing The Force Awakens. There'll be a cantina, trivia contest, costumes, crafts, lightsaber duel demos, and a number of other fun activities for all ages. It is not just for kids, it is for everyone. So come on down, there's going to be stuff going on. Oh, we have a BB-8 maze that you can try and take BB-8 through. She's pretty adorable. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're not doing anything that day, it's a Saturday. Does anyone else have any other news or updates?
Well, I don't know how I can top that, except say that on Monday evening, we are having a visit from President Franklin Roosevelt, and he is going to give a fireside chat at the Freeport Public Library.
Cool.
And it's going to be great. And I'm not sure how we're going to get his wheelchair in our meeting room, because we expect a very, very large crowd, and he's coming in a wheelchair. So that's going to be cool.
You'll have to update us in January.
Okay.
On how it goes.
I'll try to take pictures.
Yeah. And
Cool.
make sure to send them to Mary.
Yeah, send them along.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Anytime you have interesting things, send them to Mary. Library related. I mean, or kittens. I mean, you know. So. All right. Any other news? Okay. So for the next meeting, just to remind everyone, we do not meet in December, so I hope everyone has a very happy December. We will meet again on Friday. That sounds really ominous. We will meet again on Friday, January 26th, here in Burr Ridge, of course, at all of our video conference sites. Does anyone have any agenda building items for the next meeting? Okay, well then, I feel like we've all just eaten turkey. Does it feel like So with that in mind, then, if we have nothing else, I would just like to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone has a wonderful end of the year. And we will see you all in January. I declare this meeting adjourned at 2:02 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Those clocks are off.
Bye, everybody.